Born to run, baby. Born to run. Welcome to the De Leon.
Well, hello everybody. This is Rob De Leon with the De Leon Hobby Garage, and as you can see here, I'm going to build some Legos today. We've got the Formula One cars. This is the Red Bull, and then we've got a Sauber Kick Formula One, and then we've got the Ferrari Formula One. And a few months ago, I did the McLaren, so this is kind of a continuation on that video. And here's an F40 Ferrari. And we also have the Ferrari 512M. So I haven't built any of these. The first one I built was the McLaren, and I'm going to choose the Kick Sauber today. So that's what we're going to do. So although this may look like a regular Lego build video, and I will be building this car here in sped up time, we're going to go like 8 times the speed of regular video, but I thought this would be a good opportunity to just kind of clear my head and talk about some things that maybe are pertinent in my life right now, and maybe they're pertinent in your life too. So one of the things I've been thinking about lately, and this is a topic that I talk about with friends and family a lot of the time lately, and that is the fact that we are getting older. You know, I just turned 57 a few weeks ago, and I just can't seem to wrap my head around that age. And, you know, they tell you, well, you're not really the age that a number says that you are. You're the age that you feel. Well, I do feel old. I get up every morning, and the aches and pains immediately start, and I start thinking about, well, how is this particular day going to go? And one of the things that happens is I get into my own head about having little time to do all the things that I want to do. And as most of you guys probably out there have many hobbies like myself, I always wonder exactly how many hobbies I'm going to be able to enjoy before it's too late to do all of them. Currently, I enjoy playing music, and I do have a little bit of a guitar collection. I also enjoy building Legos, building models, playing with RC cars, playing with slot cars. You know, I enjoy the collecting hobby with the Star Wars and the Hot Wheels, and I like working on real cars and riding my motorcycles. And I start to think about the people that have come before me, and I think about my dad, and I think about people of his age. And what's interesting is I don't remember seeing those people having a lot of hobbies. It seems like that the job that they had was their hobby, and they came home and maybe they had one thing that they were really into, and that was really about it. And it seems kind of like, well, there's only so much time that you can devote to all these things, and did I bite off more than I can chew? I mean, these are things I've been doing since I was a teenager, and I know some people, they let go of this kind of stuff. They don't practice these kind of things anymore. Maybe they've given up a few things and they've concentrated on other things. But I seem to have accumulated all the things I've been doing since I was about 16. And I can't seem to let them go. I enjoy them too much. One thing I haven't really done in a while is my artwork. I used to be a painter. And coming out of college, I was going for a fine art degree. And so I think about all of the works that I haven't completed. I think about the boxes and boxes of oil paint I still have and the canvases that never got paint on them. And what happened? Did I lose interest? Did I just put other things in front of that, or maybe change my priorities? I don't know. But I do really miss doing artwork. I think it was something that really was very calming and very satisfying when you started a piece and you had an idea, and that idea progressed into something, and then you finished it and you really had something nice you can look at, and it basically told a story about, you know, whatever you wanted it to tell. But I haven't picked up a paintbrush probably in close to 20 years. And I mean, I'm talking outside of doing landscaping on my dioramas and stuff like that, but actually picking up a paintbrush and putting paint to canvas, I haven't done it in 20 years, and it's something I want to get back to. But again, that's just another hobby that I don't know if I have time for. So speaking of age and time, I remember when I was attending my model meets, and I used to belong to a model club back in the town that I moved from, and I really enjoyed that. most of the guys were probably in their 60s and 70s. And one thing I remember is there was a small contingency of guys that no longer could build anymore. Let's say their eyesight was failing, they couldn't see what they were building, or they no longer had the hand and eye coordination, or maybe they lacked the dexterity to build a model. So a lot of these guys, they still enjoyed coming to see other people's builds, but they no longer could build themselves. And instead they would bring model kits they'd built in the past, and that was kind of fun. But that's another thing. I'm figuring I'm probably, maybe 20 years away from that, if not sooner. And so how is it going to be when I've got all these model kits in front of me that I've really wanted to build, and it just seems time gets away from us? I mean, I think about it. I mean, how long has it been since I've done another YouTube video? I keep putting these videos off because I just don't find the time to do them. And so I start to think, well, should I videotape that as I'm doing it? Maybe I don't need to videotape that. Well, maybe I need to do this activity over here. Should I put that on film and videotape that? And then I start to think, why am I even videotaping this stuff? Like, does anybody really care about what I'm doing? This is kind of hobbies that I enjoy. And a lot of these hobbies are not really shared with anybody else. You don't really build models or paint in groups. You can do slot cars and stuff like that. Those are kind of group hobbies, but the hobbies I'm talking about are the kind that you do by yourself. And lately there's this idea that if I can't film it, maybe I shouldn't even do it, because if it's not worth filming, then it's not worth doing. And that's a thing that I get caught up in a lot of times. I mean, the whole reason why I started making YouTube videos in the first place was just to document the number of hobbies I had, so that maybe when I couldn't do them anymore, I could go back and look at the fun times we had and see all the things we did. And also it would serve kind of as maybe like a yearbook. What was I doing this particular year? What kind of things were I engaged into? One of the things that I remember fondly is I used to take these long drives with my dad before he passed back in 2021. And I would ask him about growing up. What was he into? What kind of things did he do? And he wasn't much of a talker. And, I asked my mom about what his child life was. Maybe she didn't know anything about it. And she said he really never talked about it. And the only thing that she ever knew him for was when he was a kid, he used to go walk down to the river. He used to live in Arizona near the Gila River. And he'd go throw rocks. That's about it. And I'd asked him, I said, well, what was life like when you were growing up? What things did you do? And he really never gave me a comprehensive answer. Now that both of my parents are gone, there literally is no way to get that information from anybody. I can go to some of my aunts and ask them, what kind of things happened in my parents' lives as young people. But even they're probably not going to have the information. And I think this was kind of one of the catalysts that brought me to YouTube, because I wanted to document stuff. So maybe not that I can just look at it, to see what I was doing 20 years earlier. But if YouTube is still around 20 years from now, maybe my kids or maybe my kids' kids can look at it and see the things that we did. And it kind of gives me that idea that maybe there's a legacy that I can build upon, as opposed to just having static photos and nothing to speak of them. There's no story behind them. There's really nothing to explain. I've got albums of photos of people I have no idea who they are. And there was nothing written down behind explaining who these people are. And it makes me wonder, these are all people that are gone now. And I don't know who most of them are. They family members, maybe, possibly. But there's nothing to explain anything who they are. And now we have this medium, YouTube, that we can use to put everything in full color, and we can talk about it. You can hear what we're talking about. You can see what we're talking about. And it's this wonderful thing. And obviously YouTube has its bad things too. It's got its negatives. But as far as this stuff goes, I think it'll eventually be positive. So, that's kind of the overall arc of things I wanted to talk about, which was age and getting older, and also, how we navigate the things that we do. I'm still trying to figure it out, what is important to put on YouTube, what maybe is not important to put on YouTube. And I think about all of it, and honestly, none of it's really important. I mean, these are just stupid little hobbies I do. But in the grand scheme, maybe they will help paint the picture 20 to 30 years from now. All the insignificant things that make up somebody's life that maybe don't seem important at the time, but when you add them all up, they create a person's life, basically. You see, I told you I'd be meandering all over the place with my topics, but you know what? That's what happens when you put a camera in front of yourself and a microphone. You just go on things. But hey, guess what? We've got this little car finished, and boy, does it look pretty good. Yeah, I really like the way it came out, man. These Legos are awesome. And each one of these Formula One cars are completely different than the other. They don't all build the same. So there it is, guys. Well, thanks for watching and allowing me to get these words out of my head and into a video. Well, that's it for today, guys. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.